Sunday morning. Well, the former speaker or the current speaker I always call him speaker. Speaker Newt Gingrich is with us. And Newt, Sunday morning, we're all drinking our coffee. Give us the pulse of the situation, how the midterms are going on and the Senate race. And the other day in the Congress, 100 congressmen in the Democratic Party voted against giving arms to Israel. I mean, has the Socialist Party taken over the Democratic Party?
Yeah, look, I think, in all honesty, you now have a big government socialist party with weird values. And just take that phrase, and if the average American, if we could get every American to understand that like the old Oldsmobile commercial years ago, this is not your father's Democratic Party. This has now become, and you saw that the senator from Pennsylvania has suggested he might well leave the party if it becomes an anti-Israel party. And I think you're going to see more of this kind of thing, because what's happening is it's a combination. Big government socialism has been here a long time. In many ways, Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, all the things that Obama did, the things that Biden did, created bigger bureaucracy, higher taxes, more government controls. But in the last 30 years, we've added a weird values component that's really strange, in that the average American, the simplest example is whether or not men should participate in women's sports. And overwhelmingly, the average American believes that women should have the opportunity to compete without having somebody who was born as a male, who is physically bigger, stronger, and more powerful, basically eliminate women's sports. I mean, if you have enough men claiming to be female, you literally will end women's sports for all practical purposes. Well, the average American gets that. Now, if you're part of the weird values Democratic Party, you're shocked at the idea that we would discriminate against a 6'7" male who happened to be born male just because he wants to wrestle with women or he wants to pole vault or whatever it is. And they have a internal model that the weakest people always have to be protected. And so transgenderism, for example, is a very big part of it. But it goes beyond that. We now have Democrat members of Congress. We have a person who just won a primary in New York who said she doesn't actually reach for a napkin if her hand gets dirty. She just wipes it on the U.S. flag. And that was a deliberate comment of contempt for the United States. Well, 90% of American people are very patriotic, and they don't like having a Democratic Party that's increasingly taken over by weird values. And as I was telling you earlier, John, before we got on the air, I've been fascinated because at the very same day this week, I ran across a new poll in Minnesota, which has the Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate tied with the Democratic candidate. And I ran across a poll in Oregon, which has the Republican candidate tying the incumbent governor in Oregon. Now, these are states that have not elected statewide Republicans for a very long time. So when you start to see those kind of things happening, you begin to wonder about the underlying momentum that is growing out there. And I think that I follow a guy named Seth Keshel, who I think is the smartest single analyst in America. He doesn't worry about polling data. He looks at voter registration, and he picked every single one of the swing states accurately in 2024, including New Hampshire, which did not go for Trump. He said it wouldn't. He said it would get closer, but that the underlying voter registration hasn't switched enough yet. Well, in almost all of these states, the migration since then has been towards the Republicans. And so day by day, week by week, people get disgusted with the Democratic Party and they move. And I think that says to me that you could have a very different election this fall than people expect.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I think the Democrats in their big loss, and the common sense Democrats have to get together and fight it before it's too late. And I truly, between us, what I really believe, I believe foreign money is influencing and coming into the United States and helping the Democratic Socialists to take over the Democratic Party.
No, I think that's absolutely right, and I think we'll find that out over the next year or two, because you can't have this much money sloshing around, if you will. By the way, we shouldn't chat this Sunday without taking a brief moment to remember our very good friend Lindsey Graham. It was an enormous shock for Calista and me last weekend to wake up and realize that here's a guy who, he came in '94 as part of our freshman class when we took control of the House. We worked together for 30 years. He was always happy, always positive, always engaged, always had energy. And he was so deeply, passionately committed to America and to America doing well that I just have to say that we will miss him dearly, and that all of us, and I know you feel the same way, but all of us who have worked hard to help this country lost a wonderful friend and ally in Lindsey Graham.
I agree with you 100%. Thank you so much, Newt, for calling in on this Sunday morning. God bless you. God bless America. And we'll catch up again real soon.
Great.